Welcome to Sideline Sports, where we give you an up-close and personal look at the teams, coaches, and athletes that make up the South Sound. Here's your host, Jeff Slakey.
It was a wild week in sports, and thanks for tuning in to another great episode of Sideline Sports. This week, Shelton Cross Country hosts the 5K Invite. Shelton battles Gig Harbor on senior night in football. High Climbers soccer on the road against the Capital Cougars. And the game of the week this week, Shelton volleyball hosting Gig Harbor.
This portion is being brought to you in part by
Mason General Hospital, United Community, Empowered People, Exceptional Health. The sun was out for a 5K South Sound Conference cross-country meet.
Shelton Cross Country hosted 3 schools Wednesday afternoon for a 5K South Sound Conference meet at South Mason Youth Soccer Park. Shelton's boys team had 4 runners finish in the top 20 on their way to a third-place team finish. The High Climbers were led by junior Will Johnson, placing 3rd overall with a time of 16 minutes and 57 seconds. Shelton sophomore Ethan Bursch placed 5th overall with a time of 17 minutes and 37 seconds. Johnson, a 2-time state participant for Shelton, was happy with his 3rd-place finish.
I felt good about my race, felt solid about it. A little stiff, but otherwise, I thought it was a good hard effort.
On the girls' side, Shelton placed 3rd overall with 3 runners placing in the top 30. High climber freshman Aiden Gregg placed 4th overall with a time of 21 minutes and 21 seconds. Gregg was proud of the way she was able to challenge herself against the top 3 runners, all from Central Kitsap.
When I started out, I think I was in 2nd or 3rd, and one of the girls passed me, and we kind of passed each other a couple times throughout the race, but then she got ahead of me. But yeah, she definitely pushed me, so that was good.
Central Kitsap's Andrew Simon and Molly Fisher took 1st place honors in the boys and girls race. The High Climbers are back on the course October 19th, racing in the South Sound Conference Championships at Capitol High School. I'm Sean Wells for Fiber One Sports.
Sideline Sports is being brought to you in part by
The Gillis Auto Center. At Gillis, you're covered forever. It was a fun atmosphere at High Climber Stadium Friday night.
It was a packed house at High Climber Stadium Friday night, with Shelton hosting Gig Harbor on senior night. The High Climbers jumped out to an early lead when Troy Goodwin found the end zone on a 5-yard run, putting Shelton up 6-0 2 minutes into the first quarter. Gig Harbor would respond with a field goal and a 7-yard touchdown run 2 minutes into the second quarter, regaining the lead 10-6. The High Climbers would come fighting back with 3 minutes left in the half when running back Jason Kenyon broke free for a 12-yard touchdown, putting Shelton back on top 12-10. Gig Harbor would retake the lead just before halftime on a 9-yard touchdown pass, going up 16-12. The Tide would go on to score a touchdown in both the 3rd and 4th quarter while shutting out the High Climbers in the second half as they held on for the 30-12 victory. Troy Goodwin was the leading rusher for the High Climbers with 77 yards and a touchdown on 14 carries. Ryan King finished with 99 receiving yards and 2 touchdown catches for the Tide. Shelton are back on the road next Friday at North Thurston. I'm Sean Wells for Fiber One Sports.
Sideline Sports is being brought to you in part by
High Climber Soccer looking for their first conference win on the road.
It was a packed house at Capitol High School for Cougar Soccer hosting Shelton. Tough defense from both teams kept the game scoreless the first 20 minutes of the first half. Capitol would then strike first when senior Kaylee Treadwell snuck one past the Shelton keeper, taking a 1-0 advantage. The Cougars would add to their lead just 10 minutes later when freshman Sydney Stipik struck one into the back of the net. Shelton freshman Emma Miller would score for Shelton in the second half, but Capitol would also add one more goal as they held on for the 3-1 victory. Shelton goalkeeper Victoria Silverman finished with 9 saves in the contest. The High Climbers are back on the pitch hosting Peninsula on Tuesday. I'm Sean Wells for Fiber One Sports.
Checking the scoreboard in football: Peninsula 49, North Thurston 0, Central Kitsap 20, Capital 14, Timberline 23, Yelm 14. In soccer, Peninsula 3, Timberline 0, Gig Harbor 8, North Thurston 0, and North Mason 2, Bremerton 1. In volleyball, Shelton 3, North Thurston 1, Capital 3, Timberline 0, and Tumwater 3, Rochester 0. Our game of the week is Shelton Volleyball hosting Gig Harbor. It will be a tough test for the High Climbers, coming off a 3-1 match victory over North Thurston. Gig Harbor tied for first place atop the South Sound Conference standings with a 7-1 overall record. When the two teams met earlier in the season, the Tide got the better of the High Climbers, 3-0. Upcoming games in football: Tumwaters at Aberdeen, Capital versus Yelm, and Timberline travels to Gig Harbor. In soccer, Shelton versus Peninsula, Capital at Gig Harbor, and North Thurston versus Central Kitsap. In volleyball, North Thurston versus Peninsula, Timberline versus Yelm, and North Mason versus Squim. This has been another presentation of Sideline Sports. I'm Jeff Slakey.